Loud. Okay, hi, this is Jackie and welcome to the reboot of Jackie's Giant Music Show. We are now audio and video experimenting with Zoom and in the middle of a worldwide pandemic. While this is not what I was planning to do, I had a whole nother plan for myself. I find that I am reinventing and finding new solutions. I am very excited to have the executive director of the Pleasantville Music Festival and a man who needs no further introduction as my very first guest, Bruce Figler. Hi, Bruce. Thanks for coming on.
I just want to pass on to the viewers that we are practicing social distancing or physical distancing. How far away are you?
Well, right now I'm in Shrub Oak, New York, an undisclosed location.
Okay, so that's a good 15 miles, I'm thinking, from where I am in a bunker in Pleasantville. So we're safe.
Well, high five. Give me a high five, Bruce.
There you go.
There you go. That's good. I think the first thing we need to do really is address the question on everybody's mind and the virus in the room. How is the coronavirus having an effect on your life?
Well, as of this recording, which is, what is today's date? The
March 28th.
March 28th, we're in limbo. We are waiting to see what happens. Our festival is scheduled for July 11th. We have most of our bands selected, but there is an understanding between all the bands that no one knows what is next and what is going to happen by July 11th. Maybe you know, but I don't. And you know, there are many options. My favorite option is, hey, we go ahead. This thing is on the wane by June 1st, and by July 11th we're clean. I'm hopeful, but I'm not. I'm a realist too, and I realize that is probably unlikely. So then the question becomes, what are we going to do? Do we postpone it and try and do it later in the summer or early fall, or do we just can it all together, or is there some other possibility that you know, we don't have to wait till next year, but we do something? So those are all being discussed.
Well, I imagine you're still moving forward as if it is happening, and the submissions they've all. Sometimes I do this, Bruce, and my listeners are aware of it, so nobody's surprised when I screw up. The submissions have been closed, I guess about a month now, right?
A few weeks, yeah.
Weeks. How many submissions did you receive?
A lot. I didn't count them, but there's pages and pages and pages of them. Yeah, from everywhere. We've had bands who are touring from Africa wanting to get on our stage, but you know, that's unrealistic because we're not flying bands in from other countries and the like. But we have a lot of really good local talent that we are going to bring to the stage at one point or another.
Well, yeah, I'm a big proponent of the local music, and you've all had many of my friends playing in previous festivals. Don't want to give any one particular person a shout out. So I'm curious, what kind of music are you seeing? You mentioned the African bands wishing to play, but some of the local folks that are submitting to you this year?
We have everything and anything from jazz bands to bluegrass bands to straight ahead rock and roll bands to punk bands. I don't know about this year. We've had ska bands. There's so much music, as you well know. There's so much music. You know, these are very fertile musical grounds, the Hudson Valley.
That's for sure. Since we're going there, tell me a little bit about what motivated you initially when you first started the festival. Perhaps maybe even step back a tad bit more and give us like the starting date and then go into what motivated you.
All right. Well, the first festival was in 2005, and a bunch of people, including the mayor of the village of Pleasantville, and his name is Bernie Gordon, and his good friend Jim Zimmerman, who's a musician and a big music fan. They all decided they wanted to do something in the village of Pleasantville to help put us on the cultural map. Now, these guys are into folk music, so the first festival leaned towards folk music. Mm-hmm. They called me in to help them with getting a radio station involved, and that is what we did. And in year one, I hooked them up with WFUV. The Peak was in its total infancy at the time, so we didn't go there, and I wasn't working there either. Then, yeah, the door just opened in the background. You have ghosts.
I have, yeah, that's my mom, and you're in the camera, and I'm on Facebook Live, and I'm on Zoom. Excuse me, folks.
That's all right.
Reality.
Sorry.
Hey, Mom.
What do you want to do? He's saying hello to you.
Yeah,
You're
I
on
did say
like-
hello. Hi.
I guess we can compost that.
What is it?
It looks like decaying lettuce.
Oh, okay. Not in the soup.
No, we won't put it in our soup. So I am staying with my mom, and it's a very, I'm really grateful for the opportunity. I never would have had a chance to spend weeks secluded with my mom in my regular life. So we go with it. We roll with it. So we were talking a little bit about
Yeah, how the festival started. So
the festival.
So the first year started, and it was a success insofar as everything ran smoothly, and we sort of learned the ropes a little bit. By the next year, the Peak was less in its infancy and was more sort of on the map. So the Peak got involved and helped make it their own, and the thing started taking off. They helped us get some of the bands together. I shortly thereafter joined the Peak staff, and the festival went on and grew for many, many, many years. And then there was a couple of changes in management. And at one point, a good friend of mine took over and asked me to help be the musical director.
Mm-hmm.
We did that for a year, and it set records, except it is such a big process to run this festival. Andy Goodman, who was the director before me, he just couldn't do it anymore and hold down a full-time job and run a family. So he stepped down, and I was not necessarily interested in taking over. However, there was no one really willing to do it. So the mayor asked me, and I said, let me just see if I have staff who can help me. And turns out I did have people who were ready and willing and experienced. So I took it over in 2016. So I've run it. This 2020 will be year number 5.
Wow. I didn't realize that the history went so far back into 2005. I imagine that there were some funny experiences when you were running it that actually turned out to be some great learning opportunities. Anything come to mind?
Well, to be honest, in the early days of the festival, I was there just on the periphery, and I got to hang backstage and drink beer with the radio station people and the bands. And I'd go out every once in a while and hang out front if there was a band I really wanted to see. But it's all changed now. I don't get to do that anymore. I'm running around like a crazy man backstage, and directing people to go here and doing it's a relaxing event for me now. And I keep hoping, and people do it sometimes. They run a festival that I get to go to and sit back and relax, and I enjoy those quite a bit more.
Appreciate all the work that goes into it. Something that started out as fun has now become a big job for you.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It's a labor of love, though. And I sort of get off on watching how many people are coming and having a good time. And, that is very important to me, to get that enjoyment out of it if I can't really sit back and enjoy the day like the attendees are.
How have you been dealing with, I imagine a lot of the bands and their agents have been reaching out to you to find out for information. Everyone must be on hold waiting on tenterhooks. How do you manage all that communication?
Well, honestly, I don't deal with that directly. I have someone on my staff, a guy named Scott, who deals with the agents and the like. But I haven't heard much from him that these guys are all freaking out, because I think they all know the scene. We're not the only date on their calendar, so they know that it's a wait and see.
Do you have your hands tied to the chair? I cannot keep mine. I'm so focused on not putting them on my face, and every time I touch it, I cringe. But you're doing everything right, Bruce.
I'm in handcuffs right now.
You are in handcuffs. What's going to happen after the camera goes
So I
off?
don't move.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the Battle of the Bands. that I imagine has had to be scheduled, and that the date was coming up, wasn't it?
Yeah, the date is coming up and we're extending the deadline, and that's another thing we're not quite sure about what we're going to do, because that was supposed to happen in April and May, and I'm pretty certain we're not going to be having big groups of people getting together by then. So there's a number of things that are on the table, including making decisions based upon the demo recordings. That's
Oops.
have to be a wait and see situation quite as well. So we're in limbo. It's kind of frustrating, but I also know that it's not in my hands. These decisions can't be made by me until I know what's going to happen next, or have an idea what's going to happen next.
What about video streaming with the bands, just the bands on a stage? I imagine that's kind of similar to the submission. So is that something you might consider doing?
Well, remember, a lot of these bands can't really get together right now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if there's 4 people in a band, technically they should not be together anywhere. So you can't really do a stream. This certainly the singer-songwriters you can do something with, especially if they're solo. But I don't think it is in our best interest to ask bands to get together someplace.
Well, I think that's good advice. I kept thinking about the way things were just 2 weeks ago, where, oh, we could put 5 people in a room on a stage and a cameraman shooting. But maybe you're right. Maybe the best thing for us to do is just all stay home. Just stay home.
That's what we're all being told.
Well, since details are changing frequently, are you keeping the website up to date? I hadn't had a chance to really look at it before we talked.
Well, basically, there's a letter from me on the landing page of the website, basically stating what I just told you. We're not sure what's going to happen next. Stay tuned here. As soon as we make a decision, you'll be the first to know. And you know, that is what's come to. That's unfortunate, but I don't want to jump the gun and cancel something, and I also don't want to put people in harm's way and say, hey, we're happening by hook or by crook. So it's just be patient. It's frustrating because there's some things I'd like to get done, but I don't want to do them until I know we're doing it.
Right, you know, work too hard if you're not going to have the result. What about a possibility of going back to a little bit more of the original roots with a smaller? Is that something that's also being considered, or you really just want to keep it a big festival?
No, that's also going to be on the table. Whether, you know, if we move it, we're not really going to have the same date that people have scheduled months in advance. You know, we announce the date shortly after the previous year, and people start putting it on their calendars. And a lot of people will actually schedule vacations around our event, especially local people who go every year. That being said, it's very possible that any future date that we choose is going to be the date they move their vacation to, because they wanted to keep, you know, July 11th open.
Great, great. I hope that July 11th we are able to have this festival. I hope that July 11th I can just go into the mall, because I'm wearing winter clothes and I don't know if I cut them all up to get through the summer what I'll wear in following winter. But let's cut it off here. Let's give everyone the website address, and if you have any last minute words you want to get out to us, I welcome your input.
Stay safe, wash your hands, stay apart 6 feet. Don't talk to, you know, don't go anywhere. Stay in bed, rest, and don't get other people sick. That's all I can say. And, you know, we pray this thing is over very, very soon. And we will let you know. Our website is www.pleasantvillemusicfestival.com. Pretty easy to remember. And that is where you will get the most updated information.
Will you come back and announce with me when you actually have some final decisions on when it's gonna, if it's gonna be rescheduled, or are we gonna keep that all flexible? I'm hoping you say yes, because if you say no, I'm gonna hit the non-record button.
Of course, I'll be right here. I'm not moving from this spot for a while.
Okay, cool. Well, I'm gonna go back to my disco party that I started up a little while ago. Don't ask. We're dancing over here, and I'm gonna go help Mom with the soup.
All right, very good.
Thank you so much, Bruce, for coming on. Now,
Pleasure, anytime.
Don't go anywhere. I'm gonna